Good day, I am Nurbek Savitakhunov and these are the news from Kazakhstan. New details revealed in the explosion inside a private house in Tausamal village, which President Nazarbayev criticized the National Security Committee for. As reported by the Prosecutor General's office, the number of victims went up to 8 people, and aside from weapons, police uniforms, money, and religious literature were found in a burnt-down garage.
Not 7, but 8 people died as a result of an explosion followed by a fire in a house in Tausamal town of the Almaty region, clarifies the Prosecutor General's press release. According to the preliminary data of law enforcement officers, the house where terrorists stayed belonged to the Kovalchuk family. Starting March, they were leasing the property to a businessman named Askar Kamalov, and the neighbors knew little about the man. Rumor is that they were terrorists stockpiling weapons and ammunition in the basement, but I don't know much. I'm not a witness. I heard there were 8 people there, and that's it. I don't know anything more. Website total.kz, citing the Regional Department of Internal Affairs as source, published the list of gear found in the garage of the house. Along with weapons and ammunition, there were several sets of police uniforms as well as religious literature and money. The following items were discovered in the garage of the house at the emergency site: burnt Aksu submachine gun, Margolin semi-automatic pistol, 2 holsters, pin with the ring, 7.5 sacks of ammonium nitrate, 2 loudspeakers, adapter for portable radio, bag with bearings, 1 pair of handcuffs, binoculars, 2 police caps, 3 pairs of boots, 4 Kenwood portable radios, 3 police uniforms, shirt and pants, 3 Sobr Special Forces uniforms, jacket of MIA badge, jacket of NSC badge, 3 NSC chevrons, bag with 500 tenge bills marked 1,197,500, bag with 200 tenge bills marked 430,000, 2 empty bags marked 2,000 T, 2,500,000, 5 to 8, 5 to 9, books and notebooks with religious content. The list of things found in the house surprised retired Colonel Arat Narmanbetov. He believes that Kazakhstan Special Forces were lucky. If not for the accidental explosion, the house would have not been discovered. The colonel is sure that NSC staff should have started identifying potential terrorists 10 to 20 years ago, as the time is lost now. We're doing everything wrong in our fight against terrorism. The intelligence should have used its network and investigation advantages to identify and track down emissaries, identify certain groups, recruit informants, and to take this whole thing under their control. The incident led to a criminal investigation on suspicion of conspiring a crime and armed terrorist attack, with the question remaining who will be in charge of the case: Prosecutor General, Interior Ministry, or the National Security Committee. I don't know who is in charge of the investigation at the moment, as the decision has not been made yet. During an anti-terrorism meeting on Thursday, President Nursultan Nazarbayev harshly criticized the work of all law enforcement agencies, especially the NSC. In this sense, the Tausamal explosion could not have been more timely. The head of state, who speaks a lot of terrorism and extremism lately, was upset that law enforcement were late yet again and called the agencies' heads to work more thoroughly and effectively. The time will show if this produces any results.
The NSC is celebrating its professional holiday on Friday the 13th. What is the Kazakh National Security Committee and whose security is it protecting? The next report.
On the NSC's birthday, several towns in Kazakhstan had witnessed individual actions. All congratulatory messages were pronounced near the walls of the regional departments. It's Friday the 13th, and we decided to show that since this is the day of the worst nightmares, the nightmares in our country are happening in the NSC. People would rather ask a criminal for assistance than a police or NSC officer. The professional holiday in the agency headed by Nurtai Bakayev started to fall apart back on Thursday. During a meeting in President's administration, the head of state did not hold back and told law enforcement officials everything he thought about their work. The last drop for Nursultan Nazarbayev was the explosion in Tausamal on July 11th. We are losing staff due to unprofessionalism because we do not work and we do not know in advance what is happening. As a president and the constitution's and security guarantor, I am not happy with the work of law enforcement agencies, especially NSC. I will be straight with you. In the last 2 years, the country witnessed over 100 crimes involving terrorism. Dozens of people fell victim. Since May 2011, explosions sounded in Aktobe and Astana, both in immediate proximity to the NSC offices. Later, a suicide bomber in Taras was neutralized, but at the cost of 5 lives of policemen. The reputation and credibility of the country's special services is decreasing. They are now less trusted by the population, as regular citizens can now see what they previously only saw in movies. Everything was covered with broken glass. I looked through the window and there was a car's hood in one place and a body in another. The problems come to special service aplenty. As soon as they learned how to prevent terrorist attacks inside the country, the activity at the borders increased. In one instance, a soldier allegedly killed a dozen of his fellow border guards, and in another, 11 recruits just left their outpost. Many people are now wondering what is actually the main function of NSC and what is going inside the headquarters, which cannot be photographed even from outside. Jarmahan Tuyakbay, the former prosecutor general turned politician, has his own answers. A big part of special services work is aimed at elimination of dissidents, opposition organizations and activists. And unfortunately, this is done at the expense of other work that the committee should be doing, like dealing with terrorism and extremism. Stage director Bolat Atabayev spent almost a month in the Aktau NSC detention center. He was detained as an instigator of social hatred, and during all this time, the detainee was not allowed to meet with relatives and friends while being subjected to pressure. After such a close introduction to NSC officers, Atabayev says he now knows whose security the most powerful agency in the country is indeed protecting. This is the holiday of Nazarbayev's security, and I'm not happy about it, but I sincerely wish to congratulate Officer Armanjan Nurgaliyev, who was beating me up. Let everything in his life be well. A noteworthy detail: on the 20th anniversary of the service, its officers were congratulated neither by official agencies nor the president. All wishes, most of them ironic, were expressed by those who were not happy about their experiences with the NSC.
After his secret tour across the country's northwestern regions, Prime Minister Karim Masimov appeared in Akorda. The PM and part-time chairman of the High Attestation Committee reported to Nursultan Nazarbayev on the results of the first phase of senior law enforcement officials' testing. The results were dismal. 20% of senior staff was found incompetent. 10% more voluntarily refused to participate and resigned from their posts.
Based on your instructions, we've carried out the first phase and fired incompetent and unprofessional officials who were among senior staff. The work will be continued. The Prime Minister proudly reported about the staff purge within the law enforcement bodies of the state. Almost a third of the top management group resigned from their positions. There are still 2 stages of unscheduled assessment which needs to be passed by the staff of the ministries and regional departments. The President expressed his hope that only competent and morally stable employees will remain in the agencies. After all, the work of these bodies earned the most complaints from the citizens. For those who will remain in the office, he promised that state will improve their social benefit package. Salaries and social benefits will be greatly increased and improved for all employees who will pass the assessment.
Former NSC chairman Nurtai Dudbayev may once again become head of the Secret Service, reports the agency Kastak, citing informed sources.
The rumors about Dudbayev's return have been circulating in the agency for the last 2 weeks, since the leadership cannot determine his new position. Nurtai Bakayev is still the chairman of the NSC, thus it is possible that Dudbayev will head the Foreign Intelligence Department. Nurtai Dudbayev held the position of the NSC chairman from 2001 to 2006, resigning following the accusations linking Special Forces Unit Arestan with the murder of the opposition politician Altanbek Sarsimbayev.
The information about Nurtai Dudbayev's return appeared immediately after President Nursultan Nazarbayev expressed his dissatisfaction with the work of the NSC at the meeting on the fight against terrorism and extremism. Security officers themselves remained quiet on the subject of possible personnel changes.
Only time will tell if there will be staff changes following President's criticism of the department. Personally, I don't think it will happen. As for the recent incident, the job is a job, so we have to do it even during professional holidays.
In other news, the NSC reopened a case into the death of a man in Kokterek village near the Intamak border outpost. It was reported earlier that the criminal investigation against the border guard who shot the bystander with a service weapon was discontinued, and the case was sent back for a pre-investigation check. On Friday, the investigation resumed on Article 101 of the Penal Code, negligent homicide.
According to the official theory, on June 24th, 4 unknown assailants attacked a frontier guard near the Antimak outpost in southern Kazakhstan. The officer fired his gun in the air and wheels of the attacker's car, killing a bystander in the process. While it is reported the officer was armed and on duty at the time of the incident, he was outside the outpost premises and wore civilian clothes. A criminal case was also initiated against the attackers, who were later arrested.
Also on Friday, the former governor of Mangistau region, Karimbek Kusherbayev, was appointed advisor to the president, reports Akardas press service.
Karimbek Kusherbayev served as the governor of the Mangistau region from 2006 to December 22, 2011, when he resigned following the unrests in Zhanaozen, which led to the death of 16 people. Before heading to Mangistau region, he served as the ambassador of Kazakhstan to Russia, Finland and Armenia, and also headed the Western Kazakhstan region. The officials did not announce whose position Kusherbayev came to fill in as an advisor in the president's administration.
24 hours after the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Navanathan Pillai's press conference, Kazakhstan's foreign ministry issued its own response to Chamberlain. The MFA official spokesman, Altai Abibulayev, issued a statement which noted the one-sided assessment of the events in Zhanaozen. The UN human rights chief stated earlier in Astana that police used excessive force and the investigation of the case was improper. The court, in her opinion, was not entirely fair. Speaking on the subject of Zhanaozen, Pillai even compared Kazakhstan to Tunisia.
We believe that UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Navanathan Pillai gave a one-sided evaluation of the events in Zhanaozen, despite the complete information provided to her during the meetings with Kazakhstan's officials. It is known that Kazakhstan's law enforcement strictly followed the legislation of the country while investigating events in Zhanaozen and during the open trial. To provide an unbiased investigation along with other set of measures, international experts, including from the UN, were invited to Kazakhstan and had an immediate opportunity to learn about all circumstances of the case on site. We still consider the life of our citizens, security of our population, as well as basic social, economic and humanitarian rights of each citizen as our fundamental values.
Pavlodar activists of the party pending registration Alga congratulated employees of the National Security Committee with their professional holiday by organizing a one-man picket with signs at the office doors.
It is not the first time when members of Alga party protest in front of the NSC office. The demands of civil activists remain the same. They insist on the release of their leader Vladimir Kozlov, who is believed to be imprisoned on trumped-up charges. The security agents' professional holiday coincided with Friday the 13th. On this day, we wish them to work on real criminal cases, drop the charges against innocent Vladimir Kozlov and set him free.
Aktau resident Alwash Ungarova also decided to congratulate security officers. She organized another solitary picket at the doors of the Mangistau Regional Department of NSC. At 3 p.m., Alwash Ungarova approached the NSC headquarters with a poster, congratulating security agents with their professional holiday and calling them to be fair. At first, the woman attempted to enter the office, but entrance guards stopped her at the gates, after which Ungarova decided to continue her one-person picket right in front of the building. Later, while talking to the press, Ungarova said the action was motivated by the news of Jambola Pamai's release. The woman also believes no person should be imprisoned on unfounded charges and false reports. Ungarova also asked the authorities to release opposition leaders Vladimir Kozlov, Sapargali and Akshanat Amirov. I wish them all the best and to be closer to the people. I hope all political prisoners and everyone who was unfairly convicted will be released. This is not a demand, but rather a wish of an elderly woman. People want fairness and they are sick and tired of injustice. Everyone, including the youth, wants it. In other news, the recently released journalist Jambalat Mamai gave a press conference in Almaty on Friday. The Ruhpentil club leader accused of inciting social hatred spoke about his release and Article 65, which he was accused of. Alongside Mamai was the former Security Council secretary and current Arash People's Committee chairman Toligan Zhukeyev, who played a key role in the youth leader's release.
I am feeling fine and I'm not going to change my views. At 3 a.m., journalist and politician Janbulat Mamai was met in the Almaty airport with a storm of applause from his family, friends and colleagues. Stage director Bulat Atabayev arrived with the same flight just a week ago himself. Mamai was released following 1 month in the temporary detention facility. On Thursday night, Toligyan Zhukeyev, the head of the Arash Public Committee for the Protection of the Detained Activists, came to Aktau detention facility for his release. I went to Astana to meet with some influential people and tried to convince them that there are no solid grounds for legally keeping Bulat Atabayev and Janbulat Mamai in detention, and more so to try them. Janbulat Mamai is charged with inciting social hatred and conspiring the overthrow of the constitutional order. The exact wording in the possible indictment remained unknown for the whole week. In the end, just like in the case with Bulat Atabayev, Mamai was made a mere witness. He signed the papers and was relieved of criminal liability for active repentance. I received no pressure to plead guilty nor to testify against anyone. I made it clear that I did not receive any orders from Kozlov or anyone else to travel to Zhanaozen and to allegedly destabilize the situation in the region. Now the leader of Rukhpentil club says that his worst memory is the trip from Almaty to Aktau, as the prison transfer lasted almost 10 days. This entire system is aimed at destroying dignity. This includes the confinement conditions and treatment. Everything reminded me of the prison carriages from old Soviet times. It wasn't convenient at all, with bare floors, no mattresses and no food. Nobody ate rotten fish, there was no water, and we had to beg for boiled water all day long. In the meantime, the like-minded activists, including Vladimir Kozlov, Serik Sapargali and Akjanat Aminov, are still in prison, remaining prime suspects. The liberation of Atabayev and Mamai was fought for in Kazakhstan and abroad for the entire month. I consider this as a definite achievement, a victory of civil society over the whole system. If it wasn't for all of these protest actions when people were protesting on the streets, demonstrating their civil will, President administration would still think that they were doing everything right. Mamai's meeting with the press went without Atabayev. However, the stage director already made his key statements a week ago when he said that he will return to Aktau prison if the journalist was not released soon. It is not a good image for the civilized country to release dangerous criminals charged with serious crimes as ours through friends or roundabouts. Toligyan Zhukeyev, who kept mentioning some influential friends of his through the entire press conference, added in the end that it looks like the trial will be indeed high profile. I believe you're going to see many sensational things once the trial kicks off. I don't mean to get ahead of this, because there are things that I cannot disclose. It's quite shocking. I believe this will be an open court trial, and you'll find out everything for yourselves.
The investigation of the criminal case over the collapse of the Besoba residential building in Karaganda region was prolonged for another month. Prosecutors say the statutory period was not enough because of the workload.
The investigation is currently underway. Also, the earlier assigned forensic examinations have not been completed yet, to include the forensic technical, engineering and handwriting analysis. The four-entrance section of the five-storied residential building in Besoba elite estate of Karaganda collapsed on April 6. No victims or injured were reported. The estimated property damage is about $3.5 million. Criminal cases were initiated, including for careless construction resulting in grave consequences and abuse of power. There are 5 defendants in the case, 4 of whom are in custody in the temporary detention facility, including the mayor of Saran, former head of the State Architectural and Construction Control, his ex-deputy, and the former mayor of Karaganda. The designer of the construction company is under his own recognizance. However, according to the findings of a special commission set up to investigate the causes of the incident, the contractor is the one responsible for the collapse, while officials also failed to provide a proper state control. All the buildings in Besoba residential complex were recognized as unsafe. Karaganda courts have already received 6 complaints from residents of the collapsed block. Some plaintiffs do not want to give the city administration their right for litigation in exchange for new housing, and the rest just want to receive as many apartments as they have lost. The issue of allocation of the promised housing is still not resolved due to the new housing construction delays.
Residents of Timirlanovka village in South Kazakhstan region who fell victims to floods this February continue living in tent camps. They still haven't received the financial aid promised by the state, and their houses are still not reconstructed. Moreover, people are outraged and wonder where those $600 million of public donations collected 5 months ago are. Residents of Ordubasi appealed to MPs for answers. More details next.
The canvas tents get so hot under the scorching sun during the day that it is practically impossible to enter them until midnight. Thus, children and adults spend daytime outside. However, not all flood victims in Timirlanovka receive these temporary shelters. Many people still live in the streets with their families, afraid of returning to their damaged homes. The foundation is damaged and the walls have caved in. 3 days ago, a wall collapsed after a crack appeared. Another wall in the house has a new 12-centimeter crack. They've promised me a meager $7,000 compensation, but how am I going to build a new house with $7,000? But even that we have yet to receive. We're still waiting. We wanted to organize a rally and even talked to a prosecutor. They told us the police would arrest us if we are going to block the road. People keep storming the city administration every day and still can't get a reply as to where are the promised compensations and free-will donations from the citizens of Kazakhstan. The MPs who attended the account meeting with voters can't answer their questions either. We've learned that over $500,000 was collected to help us, but who has the money now? Why haven't flood victims received it yet? This is a question that needs to be answered, and we, as MPs, are going to address it to the local administration and government. Apparently, the collected money are still on the charity accounts, but local officials are still waiting for the green light to distribute it. The regional head office decided that donations from all over the world is not enough to restore over 500 damaged houses, and the amount should be merged with the budget transfer. Judging by officials' weak response, the daily complaints from villagers have yet to be heard by higher authorities. We've prepared all the appraisals and are waiting for the government to make a decision.
State officials from Atyrau region publicized their income reports in one of the local outlets. The deputy governor of the region, Bolat Daukenov, leads the list with almost $36,000.
Ruling Nuratan party is fighting against political corruption through their campaign Start With Yourself. Atyrau mayor Askar Karimov was ranked second with income of about $33,000, a car and a house. Deputy mayors Ayjan Karabayeva and Adilbek Nurlugujeev ended up last, not possessing any personal real estate. The chief city planner Aydos Daukishov also rents an apartment and has a salary of just $1,100, although he drives an expensive Lexus nonetheless. According to official data, all officials are residing in a luxurious residential area. The situation is reminiscent of a well-known Soviet movie about an honest car thief. There was a character there, a conman with money, but he could only use it by proxy. The same here. Everyone has low salaries, but all officials drive the most expensive cars in town.
Presentation of the sensational DVD of the motion picture Janjurek Minbala was held in Almaty on Friday. Kazakhfilm made 5,000 copies costing $9 each. Those interested had an opportunity to talk with actors and see the costumes. Young actors recalled the filming process.
We are very much alike with my character, Sartai. When I saw the clothes, I felt that I missed that part I once played. Like Sartai, I am willing to fight for my people and for my motherland. I have positive memories regarding the film, and I wish I could play Sartai again. The movie enjoys an extended run, remaining in theaters for 11 weeks and collecting over $2.5 million, almost as much as the local box office returns of Avatar. Janjurek Minbala was also part of the Cannes Film Festival, where it was picked up for Canadian distribution. Kazakhfilm officials say there exist many pirated copies of the film, but this is rather an advantage. The movie itself tells the story of the legendary Akhtaban Shibarundi battle with Shongar, the people's struggle for independence, which put an end to the war. The release of pirate copies indicates a success of any movie, and we were not surprised to see it. On the one hand, it is illegal, even though it shows that the movie is popular.
This is all we have time for now. Don't forget to tune in to Vlast KZ on Monday. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.